Hey guys, so I'm sitting here at the park waiting for one of my training lessons to show up, and so I thought I would do a quick video on a circumstance that I literally just witnessed happen. So for whatever reason, there's a bunch of construction out here happening today, which means that there's a lot more distractions that dogs might not have seen before. And I watched a lady get out of the car with her dog, and I've seen her here before. She always attempts to use a shock collar with his dog, and on this particular incident, they hopped out of the car and immediately he booked it towards the equipment that's running over there. So of course she's sitting there shocking and beeping and doing this and doing that and blah blah blah, and none of it's working, and she's just screaming at the dog and freaking out and pressing the buttons, and eventually she like runs over there, gets the dog, and just starts dragging him back to the car because she's so frustrated. And so I saw this happen, and the dog trainer and me decided to step out. And so I asked her, I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, like, do you need help? Like, is everything okay or whatever?" And she was like, "Yeah, he just won't listen to me no matter what I do. Like, I bought this collar, like, as, like, a last resort, and it's just not working, and I don't know what to do." So the first thing I want to say is this. One, there's nothing wrong with using an electric collar or a shock collar, beep collar, stimulation collar, whatever the heck you want to call them. There's nothing wrong with that. However, there is something wrong with using one of those collars if you don't actually know how to use them right, okay? So, like, one thing that a lot of people don't understand about shock collars, or stimulation collars if you want to call them, is shock collars or stimulation collars, they're not a quick fix for your dog's issues. They're meant to reinforce behaviors that your dog already knows how to do. What I mean by that is, in that scenario, she needed to tell her dog, like, leave it and come, right? So those are two fundamental skills that her dog needed to have: leave it and come. Not only did he need to have those skills, but he needed to make sure that they were solid in new areas and solid around distractions, which takes a decent amount of training in the first place. So I asked her, I was like, you know, have you ever taught your dog a strong leave it? And she's like, well, no. And I said, have you ever taken the time to teach your dog a strong recall off leash around distractions? Also no. And so I told her, that's why your collar isn't working. So that brings me to point number 2, and it's that you cannot use a stimulation collar to reinforce a behavior that your dog does not know. So, like, generally speaking, let's say you've already taught your dog a recall, and they know that every time you tell them to come, they need to come back. How you would reinforce that with a stimulation collar or a shock collar is, once you know that your dog has a strong recall, even if it's just at home, but anyways, every single time you call them, they come back, that's when you're going to start implementing the shock collar or the stimulation collar. And what you're going to do is use it in a form of negative reinforcement, right? So if you tell the dog to come and he doesn't listen, you apply the stimulation. You continue applying the stimulation until the dog makes it all the way back to you, then you let off. Because what you have now taught the dog is that he is not going to get that stimulation shut off until he comes back to you, aka reinforcing your recall. But if your dog doesn't know what a recall is and you just start laying on that stimulation collar, that dog is going to have no idea what it is you want from them. They might start running around, they might start yelping, who knows? All they're going to be doing at that point is reacting to the stimulation collar because they have no idea how to shut it off, and all you're doing is setting them up for failure and, like, moderately torturing your dog. Whereas on the flip side, you know, like my dogs, they already had strong recalls. We've worked around distractions. They have strong leave-its. We've worked those around distractions. So when I put the collars on my dogs, I only ever have to beep them. And I only use the beep to, like, break their focus if, like, they're chasing squirrels through the woods or they see another dog or something like that. It's just to break their focus, and then they know what I want from them. So again, if you have not taken the time to teach your dog what it is you want them to do for a certain command, you can't punish them and you can't reinforce that behavior because your dog doesn't even know what you're asking for in the first place. So if you're going to use a stimulation collar, make sure you're using it right.